Hello friends. Well, I like to run. Well, that term may not be accurate. Some would probably argue that the better term would be jog or lumber or amble. I don't run fast, but I like to get out and run. Here in Atlanta, I have a treadmill I like to run on, but when we're in Panama, I find some places outdoors to run. One of the first places I like to run was in a little area back behind our place, and it took us through a little community, as it were, of Panamanians, and I enjoyed waving to some of the people as I'd go by and watching people come and go. That particular road is a little rocky, and also there was a couple of dogs every now and then that roamed free, and I just didn't want them to think of me as a gringo chew toy, so I looked for a different path. And there's another, the road out in front of our resort, and I enjoy it as well. There's mountains on both sides to look at and beautiful scenery ahead. There are some cars that come and go pretty regularly, and sometimes a little fast. But what I found is I run on the left side of the road so that I'm facing the traffic as it comes, and I figure if worse comes to worse, I'll just bail out in the ditch. But for the most part, I can see cars coming well in advance, and I can see that they see me and get out of the way. When I see that they've begun to move out of the way, I like to wave at them. I like to wave and say hello. What I found is then they are coming upon me, they oftentimes toot their horn, just a little toot. Now, in the States, when people honk their horn, usually it means, get out of my way, you're doing something wrong, or something like that. But in Panama, and particularly on these times when I'm running, that toot of the horn seems to say something different. That toot seems to say, I see you. Hello. I'm watching out for you. It's occurred to me that God probably does some of that same kind of horn honking along the way. Those toots that say, I see you. I'm watching over you. You know, every day probably something takes place. A good medical report, a great sunset, a pleasant financial surprise, good news from the kids that they're doing well, just a pleasant time of worship at church, a good phone call or a good email from a friend. You know, it occurs to me that when God says that every good and perfect gift comes from Him, that every one of these blessings that come our way may just be God just kind of giving us a little honk and say, I see you, I'm watching over you. Scripture says that the very hairs of our head are numbered, and God counts those hairs. Now, for some of us, that's a bigger job than for others, but what it says is God's involved intimately with our lives. He sees everything, and He cares about us individually. I think He would toot His horn at us, and probably does so every day. Take some of those blessings, notice them, and thank God for them. May God bless you.